Our top focus this morning is on an emotional farewell to Colonel MN Rai, the martyr. The Tral encounter, the cremation ceremony is underway at Delhi's cantonment area. His family breaking down as they pay their last respects to the brave heart who brought down two Hizbul Mujahideen militants. Army Chief Dalbir Singh Suhag is also expected to be present at the ceremony. Several top defence officials are already there to pay their last respects to the soldier. These are live pictures that we're getting you from Brar Square in Delhi Cant area. An emotional farewell for Colonel MN Rai, the martyr of the Tral encounter. Colonel MN Rai had been awarded a bravery medal at the Republic Day parade this year. Barely 24 hours after that, he was killed in an encounter. Let's get a word from Gaurav Sawant, who's with us on the phone line. Gaurav, an emotional farewell for the brave soldier. Take us through what's happening there right now.
With me are Colonel MN Rai's brothers, both Gallantry Award winners themselves. With me is Yatindranath Rai with the CRPF, a Commandant, a President's Police Medal for Gallantry Award winner. How best would you recall your brother, his gallantry, him as a brother?
In fact, what I have seen from his childhood till now, he was gallant, and we all follow the principles set down by my father, Shri N.P. Rai, and the other father figure, Lieutenant Colonel D.N. Rai, who is in the army, my eldest brother, and he has set us an example before us, which I think we both cannot surpass. Colonel MN Rai and I cannot surpass the standards laid down by Lieutenant Colonel D.N. Rai, who is standing beside me. And I think whatever he has done, he had it in him. He was a very rational man, and we never expected that a person like him, though he was very brave, but he was not reckless.
Yes.
And he was very mature. It was an unfortunate incident. That's what I can say.
Indeed, unparalleled bravery, and at this young age, a colonel getting a Yudh Seva Medal, the other inspiration, and I want to draw him closer to me, Lieutenant Colonel D.N. Rai. He's the inspiration for both the brothers. He's an inspiration for a generation of soldiers. When you recall Munna, as you lovingly called Manindranath Rai, Munna's gallantry, the fact that as a colonel he was awarded a Yudh Seva Medal, what does that speak about this young officer, all of 39?
It speaks volumes. It cannot be defined in just few words. It speaks that he was a man of a large profile, not only bravery, not only courage, but he was humane. His approach to any problem. I may be his elder brother, but he did things at par excellence. As a brother, I can say that what Sri Bharat had for Ramchandraji, or Ramchandraji had the regards for Bharat, he is for me the same Bharat. He loved me, and we respect him for all the deeds. He was Mansa, Vacha, Karma. He was a soldier, right from top to bottom. That's only I could see. Thank you.
This is a family of very gallant soldiers. You were there in the operations at the Raghunath temple. You braved bullets, and very proudly on his chest he wears the wound medal, the presidential medal for gallantry. Yatindranath Rai inspired the brother, Dhirendranath Rai inspired the brother, Mansa, Vacha, Karma, a soldier. When you recall the operation for which he was given a Yudh Seva Medal, far beyond a colonel getting a Yudh Seva Medal?
I will just say one word, and that will define him, and that is my elder and my younger brother. They are Gurkhas. That's all.
Gurkhas to the core, and if you just look around, the Chief of the Army Staff is expected here shortly. Not just officers of the Gurkha Rifles Regiment, the Jat Regiment, the Punjab Regiment, the Mahar Regiment, so many other officers are all here to pay homage to the man who made the supreme sacrifice of his life for this nation. Several other family members are gradually coming. The family, Colonel Rai's mother is now coming to pay homage to the family. As they say in the army, how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? And this is something that he did all his life. This is something he did all his life.
Yes, he has been a true soldier all his life. That's why I said Mansa Vacha Karma, all spheres. He has been a soldier, he has been a gentleman, and he is an officer. Truly.
Truly an officer, but a colonel getting a Yudh Seva Medal. Did he talk about that operation that they had planned? 4 terrorists killed, 9 terrorists, the overground workers, they were...
He was not an I man, he was a we man. So he doesn't talk of his achievements. He talked of others' achievements, ours. That is his spirit.
Even in this particular operation that this officer led, Colonel MN Rai, or Munna as he was lovingly called by the family, he very clearly said one thing: he did not want to risk the lives of his youngsters. He was in another area when the intelligence input came in about these terrorists being found in this house, and he did not let the others, he did not let young officers lead that operation. He personally led that operation. What does that speak of him as an officer?
Niswarth Kartabhya, dedication to duty and care for his subordinates so that they are not in danger. He wanted to use his experience, whatever he has gained, to exploit the situations. The people subordinate to him who have lesser experience are not exposed to dangers. Being the front man, he wanted to take on the maximum danger.
3 little children. I was just looking at little Alka there. Will this, you know, you come from Ghazipur, little children, how have they been reacting to what?
While coming with the body, she was telling me, चाचा उस दोनों terrorist को मार देना, हमने वाला पहले ही मार दिया है. And Mahindra Rai Gorkhali ho ki hoina, she said ho. And the children are also following the footsteps what my father and my elder brother has already laid down.
In the Gurkha Paltan, as Colonel Rai will also tell us, ho ki hoina, ho. That is something that comes from within them. Will it happen? Will it happen? Will it not happen? And yes, it will happen. The children are as much Gurkhas as you and as...
Yes, they are sons, children of a lion, and they have a lion heart. They will follow him and fulfill his dreams and will ensure that they do the deed.
When the army comes together as a family and you have all these soldiers here, befitting farewell to a gallant soldier.
Yes, definitely, but the task is long. We have to take the children along, take the family along, so that they reach the purpose of life and they achieve what he had dreamed for. That is, I pray to the Almighty and all my seniors to give me strength so that I can take on this onerous task and fulfill his dreams.
Tell us something about his dreams, because here was a man who was a thinking soldier. He wasn't just any run-of-the-mill soldier. I've spoken to a number of officers in the Gurkha Rifles. They spoke very highly of him. Tell me a little about his dreams that he had planned.
He didn't have personal dreams, but he planned for others. He executed for others. He looked after his parents. When I was ill on deathbed in RR Hospital for 45 days, he slept on the floor of the room and looked after me for 45 days. No brother as on date would do it. That is what I can say. And he has long plans, deliberate plans, which cannot be stated here. He has long and deliberate plans for his children, and we will ensure that they are fulfilled.
The youngster also wanted to join the army, of course, a very young boy, but he too wanted to follow in his father's footsteps, in his Tauji's footsteps.
It's too young. He's too young. He should decide for himself what he has to do. We are just facilitators. We should not force a decision on him. Whatever he wants to do, we will facilitate it. That will be his choice.
Colonel Rai, for the moment, many thanks for speaking to me. I'm sorry. I leave you in your moment of grief, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The family is now waiting for the last rites to be held, but here was an officer who actually all the time spoke of the welfare of his men. I've interacted with a number of officers and men of his Paltan and those who have interacted with him in the past, those who've been with him in the past, and very clearly a large number of them said that he only spoke of the welfare of his troops. He also had a grander vision about how terrorism needs to be dealt with, and while he was in this operation, he actually talked about dealing with those operations, and that is why that Yudh Seva Medal that was awarded to an officer of a rank of a colonel was because of an operation that he'd planned. 4 terrorists were killed, 9 others had surrendered, and that entire network of terrorists in Tral was overcome because of that operation. Simi.
Paras Havan there reporting from a very emotional ceremony that is underway in Delhi's Cant area. Colonel Muninder Nath, the commanding officer of 42 Rashtriya Rifles, will be cremated here after he was martyred along with 1 policeman in an encounter with Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists in Tral area of Pulwama in Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday evening. The brave soldier was honoured with the Yudh Seva Medal, Yudh Seva Medal on Republic Day, just a day before being martyred. After killing 2 terrorists, the army on Wednesday had paid tribute to the martyr, remembering him as a courageous soldier who led from the front. And this is what Gaurav has also been telling us about emotional stories that his fellow soldiers have been sharing with us, that he's somebody who led from the front, always took in charge of his battalion, of his men. The 39-year-old army colonel was honoured with the Yudh Seva Medal on Republic Day for averting a major terror attack by killing a foreign terrorist in a close encounter in 2014. The Yudh Seva Medal is only given for the highest degree of distinguished service in a war or conflict. The army coming together to bid farewell to the brave soldier like a family. We'll get you more updates on this story in just a bit. We'll slip into a short break. Back in just a bit. An emotional farewell to Colonel MN Rai, the martyr of the Tral encounter. The cremation ceremony is underway at Delhi's cantonment area. His family breaking down as they pay respects to their brave hearts who brought down 2 Hizbul Mujahideen militants. Army Chief Dalbir Singh Sohag is also expected there at the Delhi Cant in a short while from now. Several top defence officials are already there paying their last respects. Colonel Muninder Nath Rai, the commanding officer of 42 Rashtriya Rifles, will be cremated after he was martyred along with 1 policeman in an encounter with Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist in Tral area of Pulwama in Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday evening. The brave soldier was in fact honoured with the Yudh Seva Medal on Republic Day. He was killed a day later. These are pictures that we're getting you of Colonel Muninder Nath Rai's father, Nagendra Rai. Family bidding an extremely emotional farewell to their son, a brave soldier. Colonel Muninder Nath Rai and 2 of his brothers are all officers working with security forces. That's an emotional father there paying the last respects to his son. In fact, Nagendra Rai had also spoken to Headlines Today a few days ago. Let's listen into that.
बिल्कुल सीधे साधे और जेंटल प्रकृति के थे। क्रोध नाम की कोई चीज़ उनके पास नहीं थी और सच्चे और ईमानदार थे।
On your screen is the family of Colonel Muninder Nath Rai. An extremely emotional farewell to an officer who laid down his life for the country while battling terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. On our screens are pictures of Nagendra Rai, the father of Colonel Muninder Nath Rai, commanding officer for 42 Rashtriya Rifles. who laid down his life while fighting terrorists on Tuesday evening. Gaurav Sawant is there at the Brar Square in Delhi, Kent. Gaurav, there are reports that say that the Martyrs' WhatsApp status a few weeks back had read, "Make your role so worthy in life that people applaud even after the curtains fall." That really describes the principles by which Colonel MN Rai lived his life.
He indeed did. In fact, I was speaking to some of the officers who had served with him in South Kashmir and some who had served with him earlier. And they spoke of this man who was, in army's parlance, very OG, very olive green, dyed-in-wool soldier, someone who was very clear about what the bigger aim was. He wouldn't just, there is a mentality, there's a tendency sometimes that you just do your job and that's the end of it. Finish your 2-year tenure and that's the end of it. In this case, he wanted to do something different. He always used to tell his troops that, you should not die for your country. You should make the other chap die for his cause. And safety of his own men was always very important to him. That is how one of his colleagues, described him in operations. He would meticulously plan every operation, Colonel MN Rai. And I was speaking to one of his superiors about the operation where I asked him, how is it that a full colonel was awarded a Yudh Seva Medal? A Yudh Seva Medal is usually awarded to brigadiers, and an Uttam Yudh Seva Medal to major generals, because this is not a gallantry medal. This is a war planning medal, when you do meticulous planning of an operation. Now, when they were talking about Colonel MN Rai, they said that as a full colonel in this area, he planned an operation the previous year in which not only were 4 hardcore terrorists killed, but 9 overground workers were arrested and an entire terror infrastructure had to be dismantled by the Hizbul Mujahideen. And this was an operation that wasn't just restricted to his own battalion of the Gurkha Rifles or 42 Rashtriya Rifles. This was an operation that had the involvement of several other battalions. So here was a commanding officer of a battalion who was planning an operation which involved far superior officers and far superior manpower, and yet he did it so meticulously and so successfully that his superiors were impressed with him and they recommended him for a YSM that had been announced just the previous day. In the past also he's been recommended for gallantry medals because he would personally lead operations. Another aspect about him, in Jammu and Kashmir, he made one thing very clear to his Paltan, that we are not an occupation army, we are the people's army. The local intelligence inputs that he got were tremendous. And even this particular incident, Simi, when this particular terrorist came in to meet his father and brother, the intelligence was provided by local people to the police and to the army. Now, since it was his source who gave the information also to the police, they planned an operation. They came to this village while he was deployed elsewhere. He came to this village. The father of this terrorist came out and said, my son wants to surrender. Now, there have been, cases of people saying we want to surrender and they suddenly come out guns blazing. This time, proper care was taken. But since this terrorist father was a police constable, he fell at this colonel's feet and said, please let my son surrender. When that did not happen for some time, there was a house break, there was a house entry, and that is the most difficult operation. I have reported on these counter-terrorist operations in Jammu and Kashmir for a decade and a half. Making a house entry is the most difficult thing that you can do in Jammu and Kashmir. And look at this officer. What he could have simply done is follow standard operating procedure, is that before you enter a house, you throw in a couple of grenades, whatever might be inside is destroyed and you stay safe. But he did not do that. He did not throw in a couple of grenades and go in all guns blazing. He very carefully entered the house. There was a brief firefight. He was injured in that. But what was his principal concern? That my men should not be at risk. He saved his men. He came in the way of those hail of bullets. He injured a terrorist in his counter fire. He made the supreme sacrifice of his life. His radio operator was injured, is what senior officers here tell me. But he managed to save several other officers and men in this operation. And in that encounter, that firefight that lasted about 20 minutes, both the terrorists were killed. But unfortunately, he and Head Constable Sanjeev made the supreme sacrifice of their lives.
Right, and Gaurav, we're going to play out those visuals of that gallantry cry to salute the brave soldier. I want you to explain to us what that exactly means. What is the sentiment behind it? What's the tradition behind it?
This is a tradition. This is an age-old tradition in the Gorkha Rifles regiment now, and this is like the biggest regiment in the Indian Army, which comprises officers and men not just from India but men also from Nepal. Ho ki hoina, and you say this thrice. Ho ki hoina, ho ki hoina, ho ho. Oh, in any conflict, in any combat, there could be some self-doubts. There could be some doubts whether we will be able to achieve the aim or not. So it's in Gurkhali, which says, ho ki hoina. Will it happen or will it not happen? And it's the determination of these boys. It's the determination of the soldiers who say ho, 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 which means yes, it will happen, it will happen, it will happen. And I was just speaking to his elder brother, who again is a Gorkha Rifles officer, again somebody who served extensively in Jammu and Kashmir, and he said, it's the army ethos. Even your children, are dyed in that same wool, and it's that little daughter, all of 11. So moved, so emotionally moved. The first thing that comes to your mind is the Adarsh Vakya or the motto or what you've heard all your life, and that is what she said. Will it happen? Will it not happen? And that is what his brother was explaining to me, that this again is a family which is so dyed in the Gorkha Rifles traditions that is all that they know, and that is all that comes out from within them.
Right, Gaurav, thanks so much for getting us these live updates and basically explaining to us what exactly is happening there. Gaurav getting us live updates on the emotional farewell that has been organized by the army for Colonel Mulindar Nath Rai, the commanding officer for 42 Rashtriya Rifles. His family there, his young children, his old parents who've come from Ghazipur in Uttar Pradesh to bid a last farewell to their son.